talk about the three bills recently passed by U.S. Senate that are closely related to China? What are they aiming at?
First of all, let's talk about the three bills, and then we'll talk about how that relates to China. So we talked about the Endless Frontier Act, which is the one that's gotten the most amount of attention, but there are actually two other bills, as you rightly pointed out, which are also worth considering, because what's likely to happen is that all three will be combined and then passed together. The second bill that you might have read about in the press is the Strategic Competition Act. And there are two elements which I think of specific interest. One is that it's going to expand transactions that are subject to review by CFIUS. So institutes of higher learning, whether they receive a gift or contract with a foreign person, but also mandatory sanctions for cyber attacks, theft of IP. So these are the two main points of focus for the Strategic Competition Act. The other act is the Senate Finance Committee legislation. I don't think it has a name yet, but the specific area of interest is Section 337. This is related to an administrative agency in the US called the International Trade Commission, which has the reputation of moving very quickly in its proceedings to prohibit importations of goods and services which have infringed US IP rights. So the proposed legislation would put in a national security consideration in this exclusion order, blocking the importation of goods obtained through trade secret theft, for example, by foreign governments, and giving them the ability to do that even before the case has been resolved. So it's a very quick stopgap measure, could be very effective, could be very disruptive, because national security is such a vague term. So these are the two acts, which together with the Endless Frontier Act is the main focus of what the Senate will be talking about, I think, the next couple of weeks.
What's your opinion on US senators addressing China as the biggest competitor?
I think if both governments start to work on areas of strategic cooperation that don't involve national interests quite so much, like public health, deal with the pandemic together, and even to start doing business again once the border opens, allow even students to come to the US, go to China, have built people-to-people relations. A trade war and that type of conflict is completely avoidable. But you have both countries need to deal with very strong nationalistic domestic pressures. They need to be able to have the confidence that both can coexist together, and to put aside prejudices. The US wants to convert China or condemn China. China is very firm that it has its place in the sun, 5,000 years of history. It was the Middle Kingdom, the center of the world. And so how does it proceed in a way that is a strong power, but also one that is loved and respected? If not loved, at least respected. I think that will be China's strategic challenge. If it can do that, I think you will see a lot less types of legislation like the Endless Frontier Act, and a lot more willingness to embrace China, its companies, and to share technology. So all these things that we have discussed legally are simply reactions to the bigger symptomatic issue, which is why I think it's important for China to remember it has many thousands of years of history in Chinese medicine. And the thing about Chinese medicine is it treats the root cause and not just the symptom. So that's something that I think is worth reflecting on.